All right, welcome on in. It is Socratic Sunday. I am looking forward to getting the stream up and running. I apologize for being about 15 minutes late here. Uh, I believe everyone will understand when I say that the boss had food out for everyone, and so I had to stop and grab dinner. My apologies. All right, there we are. Oh, forgot that I had music going in one ear. I was like, why is everything else quiet? Got it. Understand. All right. Uh, I did correctly put myself, or I did put myself in the correct category this week. But I'm just updating the title there. Okay, awesome. All right. There are probably several discussions to be had this week regarding the state of the world. Uh, the big one for me is definitely that three nations, that is Canada, Australia, and Britain, all just recognized Palestine as a state, which is like a country, a sovereign entity. Um, Canada and Australia's recognition came with some caveats. The UK's did not. I'm actually fairly impressed with Keir Starmer on this one, who basically the British government said we are going to recognize Palestine as a state unless Israel does like alters their behavior to X by date Y. And they didn't, and so Palestine is now a legally recognized state. Now, what does that matter on the ground? Yeah, short term, it kind of doesn't, in the sense that unless Britain is putting boots on the ground to defend Palestine, which, given that they just recognize them, there are no accords of, mutual defense or anything drawn up, seems unlikely. Um, and even this is going further against the Israeli government than basically any Western nation has. Um, or rather, the Israeli government will frame it that way. Uh, but what it likely does, and I have not looked too deep into this. I read this story on my lunch break today. Um, at a job where I can't like have a phone out at any time that's not lunch. Uh, so I'm not certain, but I have a strong suspicion that what this actually changes is their ability to negotiate with Palestinians as a people and to offer aid in ways that uh, are only accessible to other recognized nations. Because in a lot of cases, you'll find this in U.S. law as well. The rules for interacting with foreign governments and the rules for interacting with refugees are very different. And up to this point, Palestinians were basically viewed exclusively as refugees by Western governments. Now, plenty of them still do. Sadly, my government still does not recognize a Palestinian state, but the fact that we've got three quote unquote Western powers to recognize it, like, uh, Australia's weird because it's often considered a Western power despite being very Eastern, just because it was founded by the British and that sort of legacy remains. But to have three major nations recognize Palestine as a state, uh, particularly nations that up to this point were just forking over tons of money to Israel in uh, weapons. Now, again, the U.S. is probably the biggest culprit there, but a lot of these nations were also passing on weapons that were being used against the Palestinian people. So that they are being recognized, that the Palestinians are being recognized as a state, is huge news. I am not, however, a uh, I'm not an expert on geopolitics. Call me an enthusiastic amateur. Uh, I keep up, but I don't know the full legal implications of recognizing Palestine as a state. That said, I think that's probably the biggest news this week that I've seen. Um, I mean, obviously, my government continues to do terrible and unethical things, but that's been the case since forever, but particularly bad since January of this year. Uh, Other than that, I probably am going to go ahead and do my usual pull up ground news, look over the headlines, see what looks interesting. Uh, but that was just the one that caught my attention while I was eating lunch today. So I need to lose my boots because I've been in them all day. I'm good. No more, thank you. Otherwise, I can say that I'm gonna run this stream all the way through. But also, I'm really looking forward to getting back and streaming tomorrow so that I can play more Sekiro. I'm having a ton of fun with that game. Uh, Other than that, let me check what Ground News has for us today. Pentagon recruiting campaign. Oh, Pentagon mulls recruiting campaign around Charlie Kirk. That's a choice. Uh, Given that Charlie Kirk never served. Trump declares Charlie Kirk a martyr for, quote, American freedom. They like him a lot more dead than they did alive, that's all I'm gonna say. Trump warns Venezuela of, quote, incalculable cost over migrant dispute. Credit where it's due, I didn't know Trump knew the word incalculable. I would have guessed too many syllables, but fair's fair. Gabrielle becomes a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. Is that why it's gonna rain a bunch this coming week? Cows painted like zebras and pizza-eating lizards. The IG Nobel Prize. Oh, the Ig Nobel Prize. Got it. Ig Nobel. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Trump says the Murdochs will most likely have a role in the U.S. TikTok deal. Jesus fucking Christ. That's so many layers of bad. At least 3 layers of bad. Trump administration set to tie Tylenol to autism risk, officials say. Anything but we don't know. Okay. AP News, sports, 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 sports. Jesus fucking Christ. 2 people dead and another 5 injured in a shooting in Indianapolis. That feels more like news than sports, but sports, sports, sports. What the fuck? Sports. And Harry Styles runs Berlin Marathon in under 3 hours. Uh, that's genuinely very impressive. Dude's a year older than I am. Way to go, man. 259.13. Fuck yeah. Gabrielle becomes hurricane. Former Trump advisor warns of weakening job market. No shit. Notes Fed's independence. Also no shit. Breakthrough method could dramatically cut prescription drug prices, but it won't, because unless you force them to lower the prices like they do in Europe, and I don't know how many people know this, but a lot of European countries will cap the price. They're like, hey, you can charge this much. And if you say no, we're going to take your drug, make a generic, and just sell it anyway. As UN climate talks loom in Brazil, many would-be participants fear they can't afford to attend. It's not shocking. Oh, for fuck's sake. Trump being bad, fracking's broken promise to Pennsylvania. What was the promise? Was it that your water won't catch fire? Because that was a lie. Massive fireworks show for Tibet ad stunt. Tibet ad stunt sparks blowback over environment fears. Okay. Well, could be bad, could be less bad than that time that they released like a million plus balloons over the city of Chicago. Nature or nursery, the unexpected common traits of identical twins. Those fascinate me, those stories. Interesting. That's out of Serbia. Good news, we've improved the environment before and we can do it again. Yes, that's true. In the sense that we blew a hole in the ozone layer and mostly let that fix itself over time. Uh, do, do, do. Remains of shell that exploded in Dal Lake during Operation Sindoor found during cleaning drive. Oh, in Kashmir. I'm like, eh. Almighty row brewing among business community as tax takings soar. Yeah, no shit, because they gave all of that money to billionaires and now you get to pay it. Congratulations. Aren't you glad that you stuck it to the libs and elected Trump? European countries must be ready to fight Russia, says Finnish president. Good call. The Finns remember that shit. Where is Simo Haya when you need him? Sadly, he's been dead since 2002. Fucking sports again. I'm in Europe. Alright, fine, whatever. I guess they play sports in Europe, fair enough. Social media should have cigarette packet style health warnings, Lib Dems to say. For India? Oh, interesting. More sports, more sports. Gatwick's second runway given green light by government. Okay. I don't know why that would be a problem. Is it? I guess it's a. Yeah, Heathrow and then Gatwick. Yeah, all right. Guess it could be a space problem. Fucking 4-year-old on wheel is captured by police car and seriously injured. I don't know what that means. He had taken a wheel to the road. Helicopter transported the 4-year-old to a clinic. What do we mean a wheel? Little boy suddenly drives on the road with his impeller. What is an impeller? Impeller. Okay, I'm seeing like rotors in a or like fans in the jet engine. Yeah, it's a rotor. Increases pressure of a fluid peller toy. I don't know if that's a mistranslation or what the fuck. Is there a picture? On a Werbetrank. Fucking mit Verb tracking. Oh. If you don't let them track you on the web, you get to pay them. If you do, you can read it for free. Pass, thank you. Very high factuality and lean right. You don't actually see that mix very often. But it's German, so lean right means like center for US. Let's see. International. Anything of note? Israeli drone strike kills 5, including 3 children in southern Lebanon. That, yeah, that tracks. Lord Balfour would have been ashamed of Britain and France. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree. Because Balfour, yes, was the guy behind the original Israeli state, but he hasn't also seen what Israel has done since then, because he's dead. Outrage after parents fined for letting children play football in city square. That does seem excessive. Uh, Dominican Republic says it seized cocaine that was on the speedboat destroyed by the U.S. Navy. Okay, here's the problem, right? Is that some people are going to use that and be like, see, they were drug traffickers. Not a crime punishable by death. So, still not okay to just fucking blow them up. Let's see. Maduro complains of quote undeclared war end quote after Trump ordered another deadly boat strike. Okay, so yes, what Maduro should learn about American history is that we have not legally declared war since World War II. Korea, Vietnam, both Desert Storms, the Great War on Terror, all all technically done purely at the president's discretion. Congress has not formally declared war since World War II. So yeah, this is a shitty thing, but frankly, it's not new to you, Maduro. It's or rather, it's new to you. It's not new to us. Let's see. I mean, fucking obviously. Project 2025 authors call on FBI to classify trans rights activists as potential security threats. Yeah, that's what demonizing your enemy is. Except in this case, your enemy is a bunch of people who just want to be left alone. Trump order denying grants to artists over, quote, gender ideology violated First Amendment. Judge rules. No shit. Ruled everyone else. Let's see. Andres Hossad's government uses the Bible to cover up its own atrocities. Hungary? Yeah, Hungary. Color me entirely unsurprised. Queer stars fight drag zombies in Queens of the Dead trailer. And Katie O'Brien's in the movie. Yeah, alright, like, I'm not saying that I'm gonna go look that movie up, but, like, probably I'd watch it. How to protect your mental health during Trump's second term, according to LGBTQ plus experts. Alright, I ain't a member of the community, but I'm gonna look into it. I could do with protected mental health. Natural disasters. Gabrielle becomes a hurricane. Officials warn homes are threatened by a fire in southeast Alberta. Infrared images from Nova Scotia's Long Lake wildfire show large hotspots. Marseille, VPSD. Again, with the fucking sports. They find a dead man on the Bitides River in Barcelona during the search for two missing due to heavy rains. They. I feel like that's an AI issue. Uh, 4.9 magnitude earthquake in Balıkesir, in also felt in Istanbul. So I'm assuming that that is in Turkey because I've never heard of it. Why floods are bringing Filipino protesters to the streets, presumably because who's in power now? Marcos hasn't done shit about flooding or created any infrastructure to help prevent flooding, if I had to guess. Or they got flooded out of their houses and had nowhere else to go and might as well, you know, protest in the streets. Possibly any of those. Philippines sees mass rallies against corruption. Okay, good that you're doing that now. Probably shouldn't have elected Marcos first, but alright, might as well. Da, 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 da. Nicholas Spade spent months analyzing smoke from the LA fires, thinks people have a right to know, quote, air is everything. Yeah, I was reading about some of the predictions regarding like the constant smoke from wildfires coming out of Canada is going to be really fucking bad over time. Because it's not just logs that you're burning, like it's a bunch of buildings and plastics and shit that you're then breathing in down the line. Third orca boat incident in a week off of Lisbon prompts another rescue. You know what? Fuck them boaters. The orcas were there first. Hidden gene trick lets ants smell with super precision. I Oh, by using genetic safeguard, silences surrounding receptor genes. Okay, yeah, that tracks. Uh, Thousands evacuated in Hong Kong after discovery of a large World War II era bomb. Yeah, well, we did do a lot of bombing back then. That one's on Japan, not us, to be clear. Stunning fossil from the Gobi Desert rewrites dinosaur history. Adds to? Probably. Rewrites? Unlikely. Brazilian race walker loses wedding ring in race, wins gold. The fuck is a race walk? Apparently, this is somehow a thing that. Okay. Apparently, race walking is a thing instead of just like jogging or running. Uh, NASA satellites spot brand new island in Alaska formed by melting glacier. Ukrainian intel, nearly 20,000 Cuban mercenaries fighting on Russia's side against Ukraine. I mean, that they have had a fairly good uh, relationship historically since the Cold War. I didn't know that there were 20,000 people working as mercenaries in Cuba, but uh, North Ontario man says his daughter failed her road test because she didn't use his Tesla's brakes. Says his teenage daughter failed her road test for her G, I assume that's standard, driver's license because she was driving his Tesla Model Y and only used the car's regenerative braking to slow down, as opposed to. It says 18-year-old daughter failed her road test. Okay. Essentially, you can come to a full stop without touching the brake pedal, but Simard says his daughter failed because she never used the car's brakes. Okay. Wasn't allowed to pause the test to call him. Shared the daughter's road test results. In them, the examiner marked a box indicating the vehicle was, quote, out of order. Quote, I find it pretty frustrating because even though it's regenerative braking and you're not using the brake pedal, you're clearly the one in full control of making the vehicle come to a stop or slow down. Regenerative braking only kicks in when the driver eases their foot off the accelerator pedal, which Simon argued shows intent to slow down at a specific time, or Simard, rather. Uh, Smart added his daughter was also docked for a feature in his Tesla that chimes when a traffic light turns green. I mean, that's dumb. Quote, applicants are expected to understand how their vehicle's system, including lane centering, regenerative braking, adaptive cruise control, and automated parking, may affect handling and performance during a road test. Some people reported they were fine using regenerative braking in their road tests. Others said the examiner asked them to turn off the feature. I mean, I get how. Okay. I mean, I would think that like the way to get around that would just be like put your foot on the brake, even if you're not pressing down like significantly. Peaky Blinders, I'm nothing like Tommy, says Killian Murphy. That's good to know, man, because that's not a yeah, no, I wouldn't aspire to that. Nearly 20,000 forced to evacuate in Berlin after Second World War bombs found. Again, we did a lot of bombing. That's not strange in Germany or France, frankly. Though mostly it's World War One bombs that you have to evacuate for in France. Okay, that's well, that's the primary news. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. To be honest, it's been fairly quiet. Uh, oh, there was a guy in France who's a billionaire that was mad about taxing billionaires, which, duh. And also cope. Uh, UK recognizes Palestinian state. Tiger handler fatality. Oh no, so sorry, fatally mauled at Oklahoma Preserve. Wasn't Oklahoma where the Tiger King was? The attack occurred Saturday at Growler Pines Tiger Preserve in Hugo, Oklahoma. And yeah, second comment is referencing Tiger King. All right, there it is. Uh, Hundreds plunge in Chicago River for first official swim in nearly 100 years. Would not recommend that at all. Uh, Three old nuns illegally occupying their monastery after fleeing a care facility. Top comment, old habits die hard. Yeah, okay, good call. Uh, California bans most law enforcement officers from wearing masks during operations. I assume most just means that they're allowed to wear riot gear for like tear gas and shit. Uh, quote, no evidence found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk shooting and left wing groups, officials say. I was actually in the comment section on that one earlier at lunch, and I saw someone. Yeah, it's still the top comment. I thought investigations were meant to end with conclusions drawn from evidence, not start with a conclusion and then try to find evidence to support it. Yet, no shit. Uh, What a fucking loser do you have to be to do this? Woman falsely accuses Chicago Starbucks employee of writing loser on cup after ordering Charlie Kirk's favorite drink. How bad do you want to have to be a fucking victim to do that shit? Oh my god. U.S. attorney under pressure to charge Letitia James in mortgage fraud case has resigned. Well, that's better than doing it, but not as good as saying no. White House peace vigil after standing for decades is dismantled, just like the Rose Garden. Oh, good. Looks like volunteers are disobeying the removal order and have reassembled the vigil after release from police. Good. Okay. That seems to be pretty much everything. Still, nobody's popped into the chat or the Discord, so I'm just gonna ramble on a little longer. And I'm hoping my coffee has cooled sufficiently for me to drink. Still a little hot, but not too bad. By the way, not sponsored, just a fan. Farmer Brothers medium roast coffee, fucking fantastic. I was out at the city of Wall, South Dakota. There's a place called Wall Drug, which if you've ever heard of like south of the border or Santa Clarita, very similar idea. It's a place that was a little drugstore back in the 30s and grew up to be like blocks long. It's a whole thing. But they offered 5-cent coffee. And it's 5 cents, whatever, I'll try it. Paid a nickel. Best fucking coffee I've ever had. And again, not sponsored. Would love to be. Feel free to give me to contact me. But I would very much like to say that I enjoyed it enough that I literally ordered a 5 pound bag of the coffee from Amazon on my way out the door. Like, I am a fan. As someone who has largely consumed cheap coffee from Aldi for years, like a German blend, this shit's better and really good in general. Uh, I'm gonna try to stay awake and keep streaming for a while. To be honest, I'm kind of glad that I'm not doing Sekiro tonight because I'm very tired after work, and I'm hoping tomorrow I will be more awake. But I'm definitely also tired generally. I'll try and push to 2 hours. I'm at like 40 minutes now, give or take. So I'm hoping that if I push to a couple hours, that'll be a decent length. Hopefully a couple people drop by, we can chat. Possibly even if people don't drop by, I'll keep going that long. And if people drop by towards the end, when I'm planning to wrap up, I may go even longer. So, however it goes, I'm just letting you know now. I'm kind of wiped out from work today. So, hopefully, we still get some good conversation and discuss what other people want to discuss. That's the whole idea of Socratic Sunday. But otherwise, I am very tired, which is dumb. We didn't even have like a super busy day at work today. It was just a lot. Especially, I mean, I'm getting back into it too, which is always an experience. Cause when the farm gets up and running, which will be like next week, will be the real start of that. I go for 52 hours a week, sometimes 60 if my other job schedules me on a day. So I will continue streaming for the next like 7 weeks that the farm is open. But I am going to be pretty tired. So I'm hoping that we can keep, generally fun and sardonic vibes. But I will tell you, I know that I'm going to be pretty wiped. There will be one Sunday, incidentally, that I will not be able to stream, according to the new schedule that I adjusted yesterday. But overall, I think it should be pretty consistent for that 7 weeks, to what I set up. I'm just glancing here, see if any new Game Pass games came out or anything. Just because I've got a minute. They did just add Hades, which, okay. I don't really do top down games, and I definitely, when I do them, they tend to be turn based. Uh, Conscript was definitely an exception. I'm looking at probably doing Darkwood before too long, but I am also like considering Hades because I've heard it's really fucking good, and I know that the soundtrack is really fucking good. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily in for a super fast-paced roguelite in a top-down setup. Also, Sworn is coming tomorrow. I'm not clear on what this is, but it's Team 17 who did like Dredge and a couple of others. It's up to 4 players, roguelike, based on like Arthurian legend, also top down. Then what? Ninja Gaiden 4 October 20th, and there's no way that that's actually the next thing that's coming to Game Pass because oh, I know Frostpunk 2 also just got released, and I still haven't played Frostpunk 1, so it's possible I'm behind. I also still need to play Expedition 33. I don't know. My list grows day by day. The backlog always gets longer, never shorter. What is the how long to beat on Expedition 33? How many streams would I have to do? 30 hours for the main story, 45 for the main and extra, 66 completionist. I might do it anyway, but that would be a lot of streams. Oh, fuck. I am wiped out. I should be less wiped out than this, because I know that today was not that tough. Oh, I'm gonna lean back. I'm gonna project my voice so that hopefully everyone can hear me fine. Alright, no, I won't do that. Ugh. Is there anything else that I am thinking of doing that I could discuss with the chat that I have plans for that will keep me awake? No, I'm definitely gonna like pass the fuck out once I wrap up stream tonight. I was so wiped after work yesterday. I came home, slept for 5 hours, woke up at like 10 p.m. And then I was like, no, 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 I'm working in the morning. So I got back to sleep at like 1:30 in the morning and woke up at 8. So it wasn't like I'd slept plenty. I was just way more tired than I was expecting. I think it may be that I'm 30 and just need a nap on occasion. I don't have the dad nap excuse because I'm very actively not a dad. Put it this way, if I had dated anyone in the last 10 years, I would have already had the vasectomy. I'm not like hard pass on anything to do with children. Thank you very much. But I definitely do take the occasional nap. Though I will say fewer than I used to. Most who view my channel regularly will know I was disabled at 21. Um, and one of the drugs that I wound up on for that was gabapentin. And over time, we figured out that A, it wasn't doing much pain wise, like it was making little to no effect. Uh, and also, one of the side effects was drowsiness, and I was taking a hardcore nap in the middle of the day, like every day, on that. And I stopped taking gabapentin like slowly over time because that's not one of the ones you want to stop suddenly. But yeah, it turns out it was just knocking me out. I did that shit to myself once at my job at the range. Uh, it was like allergy season, and I had Claritin or something like Allerclear, one of the like 24-hour allergy relief, but it was only working for me for like 8 hours when I took it, which isn't uncommon for me. I like pretty regularly, I'll take a drug at whatever the supposed dose is, and usually it's 3 or 4 times that dose that actually works on me. So it didn't shock me that it was only working for like 8 hours. And so I would take another one when it stopped working because I was miserable otherwise. And twice in a week, I was late to work. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm a heavy sleeper, but like I set alarms way before I need to get up so that I can cycle through a few and then actually get the fuck up. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing. And I finally read the bottle and I realized I'd been taking 3 of these 24-hour allergy things a day. And one of the side effects was may cause drowsiness. I was like, ooh, I see. I wasn't asleep. I was unconscious. There is a difference. I did apologize to my boss who was understanding about it, but I was like, I'm not like I pride myself on my punctuality. I am on time or early for pretty much everything. Because it bothers me if I keep people waiting. I don't like that feeling. I don't like to be kept waiting. So I do my best, golden rule. Try not to keep other people waiting. And so it really bothers me when I'm late for stuff. Like I felt bad the other week. I was late, like 10 minutes late to work because an entire road was shut down and I had to take a 20-minute detour to get to my job. I was like a half mile away from my job and I had to go back like 5 miles. Uh, and I apologized to my boss, who was like, "Yeah, no, you're good. I don't care." I was like, "I still feel bad though. Like, even though it was totally out of my control, I still feel bad." But yeah, fortunately, it wasn't a problem. But yeah, it was some kind of accident. Like, it was a 2-lane road, and they just closed the whole thing down. And I was like, "Oh, I saw one of the ambulances leave, so I don't know if they're getting patients out of here." And the cop was overheard me and was like, "No, no, you should go back." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll do that then." I should have been at work 10 minutes early and I was 10 minutes late. Okay. Is there anything else that I'm worried about at the moment? Oh, I am filling up my hard drive. I should see about that. Uh, I'm just gonna remove some of those. Sorry, I'm just going through some stuff here. Not like I'm going through it, but like I'm just going through some stuff. Okay, that helps at least. God, I need to edit that down at some point. Did a first podcast with a couple of friends, and I haven't sat down to edit it, partially because until I'm done at my current job, the like 7 week seasonal thing, there's no way that any of us are getting together to film another podcast. So it hasn't been at the top of my priority list, just knowing that I've got that 7 week buffer before it matters. Okay, that is better. Just freed up like 300 gigs. This is the problem with recording in 1080p. Of course, I also probably should be saving some of these videos, uh, but I don't care enough to pack hard drives full of them because I can currently download them from YouTube, and I know that that's a bad impulse just because YouTube could delete them at any time and I would lose them. But frankly, these are mostly VODs that are getting like 0 to 3 views on my VODs channel, so not probably the biggest loss. And I'm currently still like easily within my first 10,000 hours of doing this. So I'm well within the still suck at it period, and I'm not as worried about maintaining that. Once I feel I've achieved mastery at my 10,000 hour mark, I may be more concerned about keeping an archive. Of course, the thing about crossing that 10,000 hour mark is that you don't feel like you've achieved mastery, you just finally know how much you don't know. Which is a part of mastery, I suppose, but sorry, Fallout 76 said building got better. I'm like, well, couldn't have gotten a whole lot worse. Let's see. Yeah, Call of Duty's doing a sale, and I don't need what they're selling. I really don't, but I kind of want it. I just haven't played Call of Duty 2 in forever. Is there anything else off the top of my head? Not really. Uh, Anybody in chat have any suggestions for topics? People are always welcome to throw those out. Oh, you know what I didn't do is put up a message on my announcements for Discord. Okay. I do have an announcements channel for this purpose, so it would be foolish to not update that now that I've updated the schedule on Twitch. God damn. I wish I could, like, bring the mic arm over here. I know that there are mic arms that do that, but this is not one of those. Oh, by the way, I'm glad that people are liking the Sekiro streams because they've officially cost me $50. Uh, Unrelated to the price of the game. Like you may think, oh, you paid $50 for the game. No, 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 no. The game was a gift. Um, I paid for an Xbox Series X controller because playing the game off stream, trying to farm some XP or some skill points or whatever it's called in the game, souls. Uh, I used the right bumper enough that I literally broke the fucking right bumper on my controller, and I was out of fully functional controllers, so I had to go and order one. So I'm getting a white controller because it was the cheapest. Wouldn't have been my pick based on color, but was based on the fact that it was at least $4 cheaper than every other option. Now, I suppose, in complete fairness, that wasn't technically Sekiro's fault, or the fact that I'm streaming Sekiro's fault. That could have happened either way. But I'm gonna blame Sekiro. Souls games just somehow found a new way to cost me more money, which is still not the worst way that a Souls game has tried to get money out of me. Incidentally, which was being exclusive to the Switch 2. I'm looking at you, Duskbloods. I would love to play that game, but I guess I'm just gonna have to watch someone else do it. Because I will not be purchasing a Switch 2 for it. Like, it could be argued that I had to buy the PS4 for Bloodborne, but frankly, I was buying that anyway for The Last of Us Part 2. Okay. I'm an hour into the stream. I said I'd make it go for 2 hours. Why did I say 2 hours? I could have said an hour and a half. Made that shit easier on me. No, no, no. I've said 2 hours. We're fucking committed. Alright. So. Could just switch to Sekiro. No, no, it's Socratic Sunday. I'm trying to force this to work because I really want to have a successful thing where people show up for a just chatting stream to discuss various topics, but like to discuss. That's the whole idea. That was the whole idea behind starting this channel in the first place. The gaming thing was mostly to entertain me while the chat was empty. So carving out one day a week that I'm like, I want this to be the day that like people show up and discuss. And sometimes people do, and it's fucking awesome. And sometimes it's today and like nobody's here. Because the inherent mistake that I made was I was like, I will make a Twitch stream and I will start with a just chatting stream. Fucking obviously, that's not a thing. You like the people who have just chatting on lock are either women sufficiently attractive that like just scrolling by you're gonna stop regardless of what they're doing, whether that's gaming or talking, or people who already have an audience that want to chat with the communities that they've established. And I am definitely not the first, and was also not the second. Disappointing on both counts, I suppose. More for the audience than me, I suppose. Sorry. Should have been hot and had things to talk about. Sadly, I just had things to talk about. Let's see. Oh, I do want to swap out that controller for tomorrow and charge this one, because otherwise I'm going to be in the middle of a fucking Guardian Ape fight and it'll just die on me to spite me right before I win. Could be worse. For those who have not seen the clip of Zentreya trying to beat the final DLC boss of Dark Souls 3 and having Blizzard's, like, I don't even know what it is, like something related to World of Warcraft, I think. Something to do with Blizzard, like, was a pop-up repeatedly, and she tried to close out of it and got fucking killed by Slave Knight Gale because the game doesn't pause. That was definitely a rough one. I will say, I'm not a huge fan of Zen. I don't pay much attention to her streams, but uh, I did see a clip of her updated like voice packs, and those are very very impressive because like it used to be like way back when Zen started. For those who don't know, Zen's a VTuber who, for privacy reasons, doesn't go on mic. Just doesn't like enjoys the VTuber thing because it's anonymous and to the degree wants that anonymity that she then also does not go on mic so that her voice is not recognizable. And it used to be the way that that worked was she would go ahead and type out whatever she was saying into like text to speech, and then it got advanced enough that you could say it out loud and the text to speech would take a second, like you see on like a phone where you talk into it and then it processes and then it writes it out and then it would read it back. While it was quicker than typing it out, there was still a delay, but most recently it's like she's having a conversation. I think the speech to text or the text to speech or the speech to text to speech, I suppose, um, has become advanced enough that it's very impressive. And she also no longer sounds robotic. Like she's got a ton of different voices that she can use. Uh, like I said, not a huge fan, but not because I dislike her stuff. I just don't generally vibe I get. Like I don't know. I enjoy the stuff that she's in with other people. The reason I discovered Zen was that I watched Ray Narvaez Jr. do a bunch of stuff. I've been watching Ray since Achievement 100 Days, like 2012, beginning of 2012, I think. And so he started collabing with VTubers in this past couple of years, 3 years, something. And that's how I discovered VTubers to begin with. Got into some of the VShojo talent, which, holy shit, was that a dumpster fire earlier this year. I've never seen a company collapse in 24 hours. That was incredible. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Google just VShojo, which is VSHOJO, space controversy. You'll get the gist. But that was how I discovered Zen. And the two people that I've kind of stuck to actually watching from that group are Giga and Matara-kan. Giga, because I find she has pretty reasoned takes on things and tends to be pretty intelligent. I like the general vibe of her community. And then Matara, I watch because she's speaks 5 languages, I want to say. So I speak English, a bit of Russian, and what remains of my German from high school. Mata is Ukrainian born and a Canadian citizen now, speaks Ukrainian, Russian, French, I want to say Spanish, and English. Um, so I do enjoy being able to like hop into her chat and just type in Russian and get the response in Russian. Just because I wish that I had like an immersion program I could do to learn Russian better, but my options for that right now are either a country that is actively being invaded and does not much like the Russian language at the moment, or the country that's invading them. So pass on the immersion for now, at least till the current leader of Russia is no longer in power. We'll see how his reign ends, see whether Russia collapses Soviet Union style again, or what happens, and then I'll consider going to Russia. Or shit, maybe the US will have collapsed enough by that point that it looks better by comparison. Ain't judging, you know? I will say, I did consider VTubing, and may still at some point. I have a friend who's learning how, the art and the rigging all works, and he is an artist, so is like just learning how to combine the two. And he has offered to draw me a model, which just for practice, and I definitely appreciate that. But I'm waiting until he gets his first model done, and also he's a student and working. Like, I'm not in a hurry on any of it for sure. But I like the idea of VTubing, right? Like, I try to look relatively put together now that I'm using a camera. And I definitely like the idea of not having to like swap out shirts to make sure I'm not wearing any identifying logos or anything. Uh, just just for general comfort's sake, like just not worrying about having that camera on the whole time. And so VTubing does appeal to me in that sense. And I would like to do it, but I also know that in order to commission a VTuber model, it's generally between 3 and 5 grand. And we're not in the VTuber boom that was like 2020 ish, where just being a VTuber would get you viewers because people wanted to check out what VTubing was. There's a ton of them now, and so it wouldn't necessarily be a sound investment to put that money in. Probably, I'm gonna pass on that for now. Uh, Granted, it also helps that I'm like a pale as the driven snow white dude that is in the like least likely demographic to be attacked just for being online visibly. Um, so I'm not as worried about that. I definitely get why some people are just like, no, I'm gonna hide literally everything about my person so that I can, I don't know, cosplay as a dog person. some of them are furries, some of them are not, but I'm a little unclear as to where the line is drawn as far as VTubers go. Oh, that's the other VTuber I have found myself watching more recently is Limes or Limalicious or Limu, depending on who you ask and her current mood. Uh, who is a ferret girl. Of the three I've listed, uh, Limes is like a ferret girl style. Matara is a cockroach woman, and uh, Giga is the only one of the three who's like, I think she's like elvish, like looks human besides the slightly pointy ears. Like that's all. Uh, but otherwise, I would be kind of lame, I think, in that aspect. Is I have like a cool idea about the VTuber, but I think stylistically they would appear broadly human and would appear more or less like me. Not necessarily identical, but probably pretty similar. But I don't know. It's a thought. It's something I've considered doing. I simply lack the artistic skill to draw a model to begin with, and then I lack the knowledge to rig it. I could conceivably learn the latter, but the artistic skill I'm just not gonna have. This is why it helps to have lots of artistic friends, especially as someone who runs a lot of D&D when I can. That would also be a thing I could stream if I had friends that wanted to stream that, but I would understand if people said no. Speaking of zeitgeists that have passed, the Critical Role or Dimension 20 style, like if you're not Critical Role or Dimension 20, style of like actual plays are definitely. I mean, they're not gone. Like Arcane Arcade still does stuff, but there are a lot of people who stream their games or put up VODs of their games that just get basically no views. Hell, I have a friend who might be streaming right now, uh, who streams her Pathfinder games like every week, and I've been in there, and they usually have like fewer than 10 viewers, and they've been doing it for years. Like, yep, they they are playing right now. They have 3 viewers. So clearly it is not about the views in terms of why some people are streaming those games, but I mean, I've been in their chat before. I've had a good time watching. It's made me go, hey, I should get a game together. That's one of the things I love watching Critical Role is like you have this sort of ideal of like what if everyone at the D&D table was equally incredibly talented. Uh and so like I got into Critical Role 2016 shortly after I got injured because I was in enough pain that I was up all night anyway, so having something that could kill 4 hours at a time was great. Funny enough, I actually got a chance to meet Jason Charles Miller, who was the guy who uh, wrote the Critical Role theme song, the original one, back when they for I think episode 50 of campaign 1 put together a music video basically as their intro. And I have met him. Hell, I gave him a hug. He gave me a hug, actually. He leaned in. I was more than happy to reciprocate. Um, purely by chance. He was a student of my dad's back when my dad was teaching high school, and came through his old hometown not that long ago, which is not far from me. And so I got a chance to see him perform and meet him, which was very cool. Which also puts me, for the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon game, I am now 1 degree from the entire cast of Critical Role. I'm like, fuck yes. Puts me still, 3,000 miles from them, but 1 degree of separation. It's as meaningless as it sounds. Uh, Christ. Am I gonna cut this short in an hour and a half? I might. Or I might just keep yapping for 40 minutes. It's not that I'm about to literally pass out. I just don't know that I have the energy to make this completely entertaining with no chat interaction. I would definitely love to run a little longer if someone hops in, but I am flagging faster than I anticipated. And I think I'll be better probably in the next couple of weeks, just getting used to this pace of work again. But for sure, I'm kind of hitting a wall getting back into it, but I think I'll be alright soon. Of course, not this coming week, but the following week, I'm also starting ketamine treatments up again, so those streams will be interesting. I think it'll just be the Wednesday stream a week from this coming Wednesday, and then the following Tuesday, Wednesday. In October, hang on, I can fucking look at a calendar probably and give you a better frame of reference. Actually, it might not even be this week. What if I look at a calendar and it shows me the calendar? Damn it, computer. Why must you fail me? Alright, there we are. Uh, yeah, so not this Wednesday, but a week from this Wednesday. And then the Tuesday, Wednesday following. So yeah, the 1st, the 7th, and the 8th. Of October. I have the upcoming ketamine treatments. So, hopefully I'm done with Sekiro by then, because fuck, I don't want to play Sekiro on ketamine. That shit sounds bad. I'm, I'm, I'm having enough trouble stone cold sober, thank you very much. Maybe I can play Disco Elysium. That seems like the kind of game that lends itself to ketamine. Though I have a friend that's going to be annoyed if I play that without him there. Yeah, actually, I can't do that if my friends and I. What is this? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I did that. Sorry, I just got an email from work and they're like, you have to do a thing by today. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did the thing. Yep. Okay, they do want a response to the email anyway. That's fine. I can do that. Okay. I'm gonna stretch a minute. Oh. All right. Pushing on. No, pressing on. Reliant K. Okay. I will say, I like Reliant K primarily because of the song Pressin' On, but I checked out some of their other shit after I found that song and I was like, oh, this is a hyper Christian band. It was just that one song that it was not clear. Because I think I was introduced to Reliant K by, oh, what the fuck was that game called? It was like a uh, Big Air Freestyle. That's what it was. Big Air Freestyle 2002. Video game OST fandom. All right, hold on. Bad News by Five and Dime, decent track. Bouncing Off the Walls by Sugar Cult, hell yeah. Doing Time by MXPX is decent, but there was another MXPX song on there that was better. 311 Down, Fire Engine Red by Good Riddance. Uh, Inside Out by Reveille. Keeping It Simple by Jolt 45 was great. Never by Cody Hook. Oh, was that the Fish Hook? Yeah. Uh, Not Today by Five and Dime. Operate by The Movie Life. Perfection Through Silence. Pressed On by Reliant K. Southbound by MXPX. That was a really good one. Stuck in America by Sugar Cult, I think was the like credits song, the opening credits. Yeah. Great game and great soundtrack. Honestly, better soundtrack than game, but I had a good buddy who had Big Air Freestyle and introduced me to a lot of really good alternative music that I listen to this day. God. All right. Do I push on? It is a pretty dead night here. And Nusrat and Ivan, who are my two, hardcore, show up all the time, uh, guys that I can count on to be here. I started the stream at 7, which for them is like stupid fucking early in the AM. So I am not surprised to not see them here, and I'm sure of the people who followed me recently for Sekiro, they are looking for more Sekiro, not necessarily a just chatting stream. So, I said I was going to push for 2 hours. It's an hour and a half in. I'm going to go ahead and call it here, unless anybody has something to say in the chat. Uh, I'll give you like 30 seconds. Just because I'm happy to, keep going, be a voice, whatever. But I do actually, I appreciate lurkers, but I would definitely appreciate if you'd like me to continue, just throw something in the chat there. Even if it's just keep talking is fine. Um, Otherwise, I will assume that I'm good to wrap up. Cause, as I said, I'm pretty fucking wiped. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully higher energy, definitely more ready to get absolutely destroyed by a headless ape. Uh, Thank you to anybody who did drop by the stream. Thank you to anybody watching the VOD in the future. Have a good day, night, evening, wherever you are. Stay safe, and goodbye.